I wish I had understood the importance of surrounding myself with people with the same interest a long time ago. Hey, this is Tracy with Tracy Talks. Welcome. I remember being young and I have a curious nature. I have a Gemini moon, and some astrologers have described Gemini placements as an information whore. That Geminis are interested in a lot of topics. They can easily discuss topics, and there's just a natural curiosity to understand things and to just know things. And not in a like I know everything kind of way, but just this curiosity. And so I have the ability to hold a conversation with different types of people and different topics. And when I didn't know much about astrology and I didn't know what my signs were and I didn't understand my design, there was a part of me that just automatically assumed that people were like me, that there was going to be a reciprocation of sorts, that if I was curious with their interests, that they were naturally going to be curious with my interests. And now I realize that isn't true. And so, as someone who can be a sort of chameleon and can kind of, at least on a basic level, talk about many different things, I have found myself at many different points of my life surrounded by people who I could have a conversation and talk with them, but they were unable or uninterested in the same things that I was. And so it's been this journey for me to try to find people that could check off more of my natural interests, those boxes. And I talked about this a couple of months ago in one of my episodes where there's times where I feel like I'm in living in an area that isn't feeding me, that there isn't this natural reciprocation of my interests. And I was having a conversation with somebody recently, and like their response was, I don't care what other people think. And I don't necessarily get hung up on caring what people in my natural surroundings think, but it's just that they can't talk about and have an open conversation about the same interests that I have. And so that's the difference in being surrounded by like-minded individuals. And again, I don't need people to check off all of the boxes, but there's certainly some of my boxes that never get checked. I have some in my life who had a COVID project or a pandemic project, and they built a labyrinth in their backyard. So they let the grasses grow up and they mowed the path, the circular path, to create the labyrinth. And there are wildflowers growing and there's beautiful vegetation, and it has just been this wonderful addition. And there are people that will come walk the labyrinth, and there is somewhat of an open invitation to the people that live around him that this is there if you want to meditate and walk the path, and it's open. And he recently shared a drone video that he had made, and he had set it to music, and it was just amazing. This time early on in my spiritual journey that I was searching for labyrinths to walk, that there's a belief there that this meditative process really does balance out your brain chemistry and just reset you into a state of peace and reflection. And so there was this part of me that was, there's websites there that list labyrinths and, where can you go? And I had made it somewhat of a quest to find labyrinths in the area that I could go walk. And to be honest, none of them that I walked were as beautiful as my friends. And, in that moment when he's talking about this, and then when he shared the video with me, and I'm just almost in tears because it was such a reminder how important it is to have people that just naturally have those same interests. And I can look back into my romantic relationships, and again, this is, I'm saying the same thing again, but I was partnering up with people who I could talk to them about their interests, but they couldn't reciprocate that, and how that emptiness really became clear, later on down the path. Because in the beginning of a relationship, there's excitement, there's this is new, and, there's this eagerness and readiness to find ways to come together. But then as the relationship progressed, you know, there was there wasn't as much coming back to me. Like there wasn't this natural energetic exchange. It wasn't happening. And I also think that that's something that we as women do, is we naturally give and we have been instructed and conditioned and trained and to give to our partners to the point where it's detrimental to us. And if you were like me, then a few years into the marriage, you wake up and you're like, I remember feeling exhausted. I remember feeling empty. I remember feeling so depleted and not knowing why. I didn't understand why I felt that way. And looking back, it's completely clear. Like I neglected myself and who I am and what I need, and it caught up with me. I could only starve myself for so long before it really impacted my overall health and well-being. And so even now, as I've been on this journey, it's one of those things that I've still been searching for, especially a partner or significant other that has some of the same interests, that I can have conversations about the topics that I'm interested in and the content creators that I listen to. Like it would be nice to be able to say, I looked at this video and, what do you think about it? And have somebody actually have a conversation with me instead of just looking at me with a blank stare. And that's what I get most of the time. And now, as I look at my friend's drone video and I see the beautiful labyrinth, I realize now that that's going to have to be one of the things on my wish list. I personally don't know too many men that can tick off that box, like that you've made a labyrinth for you. Like this friend of mine, he didn't make it because his wife wanted it. He didn't make it for anybody else. He did it for himself. And that's a very different approach as well. Like my ex could do things for me, but he didn't do them for him. Like when I wanted the flower bed, it wasn't something that he cared about, that he was interested in, that he had no desire to build something for me. And in the end, he was resentful. He was, I don't know that he was necessarily angry, but there were certain times where he would bring it up like, I had to build that for you. And it's in those moments where I realize now that I want somebody in my life that is interested in creating things for themselves. Like they are invested in building something, whatever that is, using that creative energy to actually create something in life and having this natural desire and interest and excitement to do that, and how important that is. I didn't understand how important that quality is in someone. That I don't want somebody who just wants to sit and look at a computer screen and never set out into the grass and feel the grass and watch the sunrises and watch the sunsets. That I need somebody who appreciates those simple things in life and has their own natural desire to participate in the natural world. Now I'm at this kind of weird position where, my friend who just shared this wonderful project with me, and now I've realized that this expectation bar, which I feel like was already pretty high, is now even a little higher. Like, if I get back on a dating app, it's like, have you built a labyrinth in the last 5 years? Like, have you done that? And how, again, I have reached this new plateau of looking at me and how I fit into the people around me, and how important it is for me to have people who check off certain boxes and not challenge me in those. Because I'm still in a fairly conservative area that just doesn't think and act and move through the world in the same way that I do. And how I see how that really does obstruct my full flow. Like, I can get to a point and I start to flow, and then I meet up on a path with someone who kind of, slows that rhythm down. And this is just an awareness. It's just me coming to another level of awareness and understanding myself and my needs and what I want even more. I just always assumed that at this point in my life that I would have things figured out, that I wouldn't be on this self-discovery journey of like, I'm still trying to figure out what I need. And I know I'm not this person who is very fixed and structured, but I don't know. I just am hoping for the day where I do fully reach this point where it feels like I can be in this continuous flow state and not have periods where, the water has hit the dam. But I also do understand that that's just the cycle of life, and that we're not supposed to just go full on open all of the time, that we do need periods of rest and relaxation and reflection. But this awareness that, what, I am looking for more people who want to just build their own labyrinths in their life. Like, how amazing to be surrounded by people who want to build something that gives back, that fulfills some part of themselves, but also adds value to other people who use it, who are around it, who are just in the presence of somebody who has the ability to spark new life and create more for the world. Thank you for listening to this episode of Tracy Talks. Remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and share with others who would enjoy listening to this podcast. Friends can find Tracy Talks available on iTunes, Spotify, Substack, and YouTube. Hit me up on Instagram and Facebook at more Tracy Talks. And until next time, we meet again.